I love that. So how do we learn? I mean, okay, so let's say, I've got a couple of members on my team who are neurodiverse,
Hmm.
with atypical thinking or atypical brains, right? So how do I learn the cues and the keys and the things that are really gonna help them grow and be, more productive in our team environment based on the goals that we have set?
Hmm.
Like this is all like, this is all new to me, for example, and
Hmm.
I'm used to one way of thinking, and I'm, really good at it, and I'm used to people who think that way, and I'm really good with
Hmm.
them. But now I've got people who don't, but I acknowledge it, and I want them to also be efficient and effective. How do I
Hmm.
learn about what to do?
I think there are a lot of different approaches. I mean, I think that you can take the top diagnoses and study them, bring in experts. But I also think, like, even when you were talking about these people have this thing, I
Mhm.
think something that's more inclusive is to understand that whatever that thing is, whether it's like, social comfort, like, small talk, ability to read, ability to stay on task, there's variability in all of us.
Mm.
Right. So I think it's more inclusive. It's not that, some people have, more extreme brains that struggle with this more, but I think it can be really inclusive to talk about how that variability, is pervasive along the spectrum, and how there are things that many people can do and some things work better for some people than others. So, I mean, I, people can come to my website, chantelprat.com. There are brain games they could do as a team. That's all
Mm.
free. It gives you feedback right away. You could do, like, I think that would be really fun, right? It's like a team building exercise. Let's see, for instance, what kind of feedback do you learn from? That's something that's not associated with any diagnosis that I know of, although ADHD is associated with abnormal reward processing.
Mm.
People move around the world learning to find rewards. We know that even our AIs are set up to do reinforcement learning, but they also move around the world learning to avoid negative feedback or setbacks. And the strength of those two kinds of learning, even though they're reciprocal, is different in different individuals and totally uncorrelated. Some people learn equally well how to move through the world avoiding setbacks and how to find good things. Some people, which we call carrot learners,
Mhm.
move through the world just looking for positive feedback. Other
Mhm.
people are really happy. They learn a lot, maybe not really happy. Nobody likes to get it wrong, but
Mhm.
people learn a lot from constructive criticism. So, like, that could be a team building exercise, just understanding what kinds of feedback your brain learns from and the difference between when you learn and when you feel good. And, how do I give feedback in the most productive way, given the group of brains in front of me and how they learn? I mean, there are a lot of things to do. But in general, I see people moving more and more towards experts
Yeah.
who do really understand these differences and who understand the ways we have built work culture that assume that everybody's brains work like this, that everybody's brains can do that. I think as again, you start having discussions about the axes over which we differ,
Yeah.
you start to, as a community, that's the ideal, right? Is that people can tell you, like, I like this. This is challenging for me. And if you know that those preferences and challenges are related to the way everyone's brain works,
Mhm.
you can create this environment in which you're sort of understanding that your functionality is a depends on the match between how your brain works and what you're asking it to do, period.
Mm. Wow, this is fascinating. Oh, this is really great. This is really great. What other thoughts do you have that you'd like to share with us on this topic?
I am encouraged that people are thinking about neurodiversity. I'm encouraged that people are feeling empowered by understanding their brains. And I think that if this is handled well and with sensitivity, it can be a tool that empowers every person, right? So, like, and I think that that's part of it. You were saying, as a manager, as this, it's the same thing as an educator or as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
In an ideal world, we could create the perfect environment for every person that's perfectly tailored to their brain. But it requires a lot of knowledge, it requires a lot of resources, it may be impractical in some ways. But if people learn about themselves, if you create these training trainings where people can learn about themselves and learn how to set what they, to ask questions about what they need, how they thrive, what they struggle with. If everyone becomes an expert on themselves, you empower them to take the job and then turn it into, put it into a context that they will thrive in. And that's kind of my dream for helping to educate people on how their brains work, all people, regardless of whether they have a diagnosis.
Well, Dr. Pratt, this is awesome. Okay, you're amazing. And
Thank you.
I am
So
so
are you, DJ.
excited. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be able to share this with the All Truth family and beyond. And I'm excited for this the future field of neurodiversity and what you were going to be doing more of, and I'm looking forward to learning more. So
I think that
give us some closing thoughts.
Oh, I was just going to say, our diversity efforts have been focused on finding talent in places that we haven't been looking for it in, right? And that the success of these efforts, I think, is really tied to our ability to appreciate different sense-making systems. And I think to the extent that we can get more than anytime you go from one mind to two minds to three minds to four minds with different perspectives, with different strengths, and create a safe environment where you appreciate these different perspectives and can include like other sense-making systems, other ideas in your decision space, productivity is going to increase. The product you make is going to be better. People are going to feel more appreciated. They're going to feel a sense of purpose. And so I just think this is a great time for people to be thinking about how to include this in their training.
I love it. I love it. Okay, remind us how we can find you again.
You can find me at chantelprat.com, ChantelPrat.com. And if you want to start learning how your brain works, go to the Brain Games tab or get my book, The Neuroscience of You.